Tournament Arc Madness. That's right, it's time to check out round 2. We've had some incredible, I truly mean incredible matchups. We've had a larger turnout than we did before, and oh my god, folks, the winners, the losers, the semifinals are about to be next level. So, taking a look at the first matchup, we had Dragonball's 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai going up against Food Wars Autumn Election. And what can we say? Once again, you can't keep a classic down. Dragon Ball wins 6-3. Boys, what do you think?
No.
Right, no. I forgot to mention, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined today by two compatriots of mine. They're both named Drew. One we've got Andrew, and the other we've got Drew.
I'm already disappointed, and my day is ruined.
You're welcome.
It's a good thing it's evening when we're recording this.
So yeah, you can just start the new day. But don't worry, I'll remind you in the morning. I know where you live.
Just drink to forget my sorrows.
So boys, what did you think of this matchup?
Well, I thought it was
Here,
you go ahead.
Unbalanced. It was unbalanced.
I mean, but somebody had to lose to Dragon Ball.
God, is this just gonna be the Dragon Ball tournament bracket?
Well,
we'll get to the other ones later.
I think on that a little bit later, but I don't know. But I will say that Food Wars put up a valiant effort. It was just the incoming votes at the end that kind of pushed it to less of a close race. But
yeah.
I think it was it was what I expected. I voted for Dragon Ball, but I Food Wars Autumn Election was one of the best moments in the show. So
yeah,
it definitely deserves the respect it's earned.
Definitely,
the autumn elections are pretty hype, and I think that was like a real big turning point for the overall franchise for Food Wars. Like, you really understood what a Shokugeki was by that point, and it was like the first time in the show you had back-to-back Shokugekis just constantly. It was a whole season of just fighting each other. There wasn't any in-between, there wasn't any filler episodes, no lead-ups like the whole first season. It was just, okay, we're gonna fight! And fight and fight and fight, and you're gonna sit here and watch for 12 episodes straight. It was awesome.
And it doesn't feel like 12 episodes either. Like it just goes, and it's back when they gave the bouts like a full amount of time before they kind of started having to cram it together in like the later season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it didn't feel like they were stretching it. Like, you got the time to let the food set and get that aroma wafting in, and you just enjoy the sheer ludicrousy of their food battles. And it was awesome. And I will say that, like, Food Wars, I don't know how many of us are Fairy Tail fans, but Food Wars beating out arguably the best arc in Fairy Tail is also something commendable, because the Grand Magic games it's a similar thing where it was a turning point for Fairy Tail, because the previous arcs to that were kind of lackluster, and the Grand Magic games really brought the show back. So Food Wars taking them down, and pretty soundly too, didn't they? Wasn't it a pretty wide margin?
Yeah, it was like 2-6. Yeah.
Yeah, so Food Wars completely crushed them, and that was I've thought, at least in my opinion, a strong contender. So them soundly defeating them, I think, really shows that Food Wars had what it takes to be in the tournament. It was just that coming up against a juggernaut like Dragon Ball, the series that popularized the shonen tournament arc, it's difficult. It's an uphill battle for sure.
Oh, definitely. Just about anybody going up against Dragon Ball is in for an uphill battle. And yes, Food Wars, the second season, the battles, the final battle with the triple battle in the final was so good. I loved seeing Soma try and overcome so many disadvantages he had in that final matchup. All of it just to come to a head. He still loses, but oh my god, was the heart there. And yeah, Food Wars did an amazing job. To give Food Wars its props, it still lost the Twitter poll, but we had 5 votes in that poll, and 2 of them went to Food Wars. So props to that.
So even the poll was close, huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
even the Twitter poll was close, which was funny because it took an extra. Like I had to be like, hey guys, there's 1 day left in the poll, and they're both tied. They were both tied for the longest time, and then
wow.
just 1 vote put it over the edge. So it's just like, there it is. Dragon Ball got that one last vote, and that's what cinched it. I mean, Dragon Ball was still probably going to win, but it could have been a closer matchup. It would have been like 5-4 if Food Wars had won that Twitter poll.
And I think they would have deserved it. I think, and it. I hate to say it like this, but it's pretty clear that a lot of the weight put into the tournaments is kind of drawn to some of the nostalgia factor for tournaments, but it just shows that you don't have to be an old series that has that nostalgia, like that deeper nostalgia, because you can still be nostalgic for Food Wars even though it's a newer show. That they were able to come in and show they're not to be messed with,
It's like they were contenders. So let's move on to the next round, boys. One that I was hoping would be a lot closer. I really thought this would be like an epic drag-out brawl for the ages. But in the round 2, we had My Hero Academia's sports festival going up against Naruto's Chunin exams. And it wasn't even close. My Hero Academia...
Okay. I actually expected this. I looked at this the same way the Dragon Ball matchup. Like, I knew, again, both are really good. But the Chunin exams, they're legendary.
Peak Naruto. That's peak Naruto.
Everything went downhill after that Naruto.
Well, I would say that everything went downhill after the Land of Waves arc, but
okay, wow, hot take.
I mean, everything went uphill the second that Neji,
Don't you say it.
That was great. So
to hear you say that anything about the end of the series is good is just automatically thrown out in my book.
But just to clarify, folks, My Hero Academia got 1 vote. Naruto got 8. Once again, Naruto is showing its power, sweeping its competition without any resistance. It's just baffling in some ways.
I'll be totally transparent. I actually had to hesitate for this one. I did really enjoy. I enjoyed the My Hero Academia tournament in season 2. It was really good, and one of my fondest memories about that whole series. So it wasn't just an impulsive click. I saw Naruto, but then I saw My Hero. I'm like, wait. And I had to think for a second. I'm like, is Naruto better? Yeah, it's better. Okay, then I voted for it. So it was a second of hesitation. And
I think something that's important to keep in mind is, so not even necessarily okay, but this tournament had the cooler fights. This one looked cooler. I think something that's important to also keep in mind is, and this is back to the Dragon Ball Food Wars one, almost why I feel like Food Wars did have that edge on Dragon Ball, is what the tournament means to the show and the characters.
Yeah.
So the tournament, I'm not downplaying the importance of Dragon Ball's tournament, but the autumn election had a ton of meaning to the characters in that tournament, and I feel like that's equally true with My Hero and the Chunin exams. So that's why I feel like I'm surprised and I'm not surprised that it was such a blowout. I knew that the Chunin exams held such a strong favor in people's minds, but the sports festival for My Hero had a ton of meaning, especially for Todoroki and Deku, and those characters, because and then even on top of that, it had the amazing, beautiful animation.
Final strike between Deku and Todoroki, I watched that episode when it premiered, and with someone who has not even seen My Hero Academia, I was watching it just because I was trying to get caught up and they were just at my place. They saw that and they were like, holy crap, that was cool!
Yeah. And there was so much meaning behind it too, because it was an important step for the progression of Deku's character in being a hero more than just someone who fights the bad guys, and it was more about him taking the time to help the people around him as well. And so I feel like My Hero, even if they didn't get many votes in this, I feel like also deserves to have some props given to them, because it was a great tournament.
Yeah.
And it was a great arc and had spectacular animation, spectacular fights. And I think an unsung fight in that tournament is Uraraka versus Bakugo.
Oh my god.
Like,
yes.
That's my favorite part of the whole tournament, is the two of them fighting, which was such a close fight. Actually, like
the fact that Bakugo had to actually try, and everyone gave him crap about it. You know, everyone was like, "Wow, why are you like being so ridiculous with this?" And he's like, "If I'm not like this, I'm going to lose," because that's how tenacious she is. That's how much she wanted to win. That's how important it was.
It's like showed the respect.
You know, the characters, they were taking it seriously. They were using this as a springboard to show how much they can improve and how much they can be better characters. But I will say that that's also the case for the Chunin exams. I mean, we're all Naruto fans. We all know the moments that are pivotal for character growth in the Chunin exams, and so it's also got that. So, you know, it's not like My Hero just kind of lost out for no reason. The Chunin exams also had the wow factor, the character growth, the amazing fight scenes. So it was a tough bout. I'm not surprised to hear that you had to kind of hesitate, Andrew, because, you know, even though I know you're not really a My Hero fan, you obviously saw that.
Yeah, I still watched that. I still watched that entire arc, that entire tournament season, and it was great. You know, like, that was one of the parts that actually really sold me on the series being like viable. You know, it made sense to me after I saw all of that. Like, okay, I get what the hype is about now.
And then it was all downhill from there.
Well, that aside, in my opinion, you know, it's been 15 years since I saw the Chunin exams, and I still occasionally go back and rewatch the fights between Rock Lee and Gaara.
Oh man!
Or Sasuke's Sharingan like finally awakening during that arc. I rewatch a bunch of those fights on YouTube whenever I can. And they still feel just as fresh and hype now as they did back then. So
100%.
I mean, I don't think that nostalgia should be cited as a over looming factor in this vote to rule out the results. I really think it comes down to the quality of the Chunin exams. They just were really good, and they have stood the test of time.
They have. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, because Dragon Ball is a decent amount older than Naruto, so Naruto is like the middle ground of the ages of the viewership. So that's more of so like when it was actually first airing, that would be more of our age coming in to watching that, and that's what we remember seeing as, this is how you do an amazing tournament arc.
Yeah.
Whereas Dragon Ball, we were seeing Dragon Ball as essentially reruns. I mean, they weren't, because that was just when they were airing here, but because of how much time it was before we actually got to see it, it was almost like it was already had a legacy.
Yeah, definitely
in our minds. But Naruto, yeah, it was. I mean, it's something that I feel like, even if people don't say it, like Naruto, like Kishimoto would say that he took inspiration from Dragon Ball, but I feel like there are people saying it who are like the mangaka for different series, but I feel like not as many people are saying, even if they have done this, where they've taken inspiration from Naruto, because I feel like that's just how good the Chunin exams were, that they are taking inspiration from it, even if they don't realize it. So yeah, I think you have a really good point there, is that it isn't just nostalgia, it is just that the quality is just that high.
I mean, Naruto is a big three for a reason. It's a big three for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, and there's something I want to touch upon regarding Naruto. I'll wait till the very end here after we cover the next two.
All right. So, let's move on to match 3. It was old school versus new school. Yu Yu Hakusho's Dark Tournament going up against Ruby's Vital Festival. And
Okay, so this was not as nearly balanced of a vote as the prior one. I'm just gonna put that out there.
you'd be surprised.
This was-
You would be surprised. But the final result, we get Yu Yu Hakusho 6, Ruby 3. So let's talk about Ruby. First of all, Ruby was a dark horse coming into this competition, mostly because technically it's not an anime. Technically it is an anime, but I was just like, when I was going through the list of animes that I was going to try and put together for the tournament, I was like, okay, I have some shows that I don't actually feel 100% on. I feel like I want one show that could really shake the tournament up, and then I was like, wait a second. Hey guys, do you think Ruby counts as an anime? And people said, yeah, sure, why not? And I'm like, all right, Vital Festival, taking whatever spot it was taking.
I mean, I think it deserved to be in there. I feel like that whole gatekeeping of what is an anime, I feel like is just little or like limiting what fans can enjoy if they don't look at it that way, to be honest. So I feel like it was worth putting in because it kind of showed, hey, this deserves to be considered for this kind of thing. Even if they ended up losing this one, I feel like Ruby showed, hey, anime is anime. It doesn't matter where it's from.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer that Ruby would be part of this bracket. It qualifies in every single way. And the Vitals Festival, again, met the standards of being really fun with lots of badass fight scenes, but it also was incredibly important to the overall plot and the character developments of pretty much every major character in the story who had appeared up until that point. It was literally a transformative period for the show for a number of reasons, plot, production, and otherwise. So yeah, Vital Festival totally qualifies. But it went up against one of the like establishing shows for the popularity of tournament arcs. Like Yu Yu Hakusho was the follow-up to Dragonball.
Yeah, if Dragon Ball is the show that popularized the tournament arc, Yu Yu Hakusho is what perfected it.
Yeah.
100%.
In my opinion.
Yep.
It's like,
And I know that I'm not the first person to say that before, but that's
I've said that
100%
too.
how I feel. You know, because the Dark Tournament, I'm not gonna lie, is one of my favorite pieces of content in anime.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It is well done. It hits on everything that we've talked about before, where it's important to the characters. There's a reason for them to be there. There's a reason for things to be happening. The action is phenomenal, and it doesn't get in the way of the narrative. It doesn't get in the way of the plot. It's not a device used to just further along episodes. In fact, that's one of the things that Yu Yu Hakusho does the best, is that it doesn't draw out the fights. So that's why, I mean, I feel like it's such a strong contender, and it was hard for Ruby to go against it. And I feel like Ruby did really well, garnering its 3 votes to Yu Yu Hakusho 6, because Yu Yu Hakusho was one that I was expecting to be like the Chunin exams, where it was going to be
a blowout,
a landslide, completely 8-1, 9-0, however it ended up. But I'm genuinely happy. Even I didn't vote for Ruby, but I'm genuinely happy they got votes, because Ruby does deserve to have some contention there, even if it is against such a juggernaut like Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah. Like, even looking at the Twitter poll, Dark Tournament won that poll, but Ruby got 3 out of the 8 votes, so...
That's almost a tie. One more swing, that'd be 4v4.
Yeah.
That would have been a tie. You would have been begging for a tiebreaker again.
Yeah. It's just... So yeah, there's a lot going for Ruby, and of course, talking about the Vital Festival, this is honestly, probably the peak of Ruby, in all honesty. But the Vital Festival...
It is, in my opinion.
The Vital Festival
so.
was where the animation actually got a budget, where the where the fights were amazing, and then the fallout, because it led to the ultimate plot device in the entire show that just set us on a new path afterwards. The Vital Festival was peak Ruby. and that there's just no getting around that.
Well, and I feel like this is going to become a recurring thing, is that tournament arcs are so important for this genre that it is going to be the peak for a lot of shows, because it's kind of hard to contest against those the hype of a tournament, the action, the emotion, the energy that a tournament brings. And so it's going to be a common theme that a lot of these shows, that's going to be the peak of it. It is just, some shows have more tournaments than just like one or maybe two, but there is probably going to still be one that's kind of the defining, this is the peak because this is the most hype. So, but not to take away from that, it's just that, I mean, that's why tournaments are so great, is you get to see the diluted, refined best that the show has, and you can see really what a show has at its core, what the merit of that show is. And I feel like all of the shows in the final 8 here really do that well. All of them have that refined feeling of, this is what the show is, this is what we had to give, and RWBY's no exception. RWBY, like you said, this is the peak of RWBY, and I hope that I can feel that way again about RWBY, because that was, I mean, when I was watching RWBY before, and we got to the Vital Festival, I was blown away.
Yeah,
that's how good the arc was. The characters, the choreography, everything was so good about it.
All those fights were so cool. Probably my favorite fight from that Vital Festival was the Weiss and Yang versus Team Funky. God, I loved that fight.
That was such a good fight.
That fight was one of the coolest, most stylish fights in the whole season. This is the one I think of first, honestly.
But yeah,
I think you've got me wanting to rewatch that now. Wow.
That's part of the reason we're doing this. It's like, hey,
yep.
It's like, these shows were dope. Feel free to go check them out. That's why I listed the episode list in the first video. All right, moving on to the final match of this round. We had Megalobox's Megalonia going up against Pokemon's Sinnoh League. And this is the closest final matchup. We had Megalobox 3, Pokemon 4. My baby gets to move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, it took that final vote from the poll to get that win, because I was watching the results from our personal voting and saw that it was 3-3, and I was like, oh man, where is this gonna go? Because I had no idea. I mean, I can see that the three of us are in agreement of the side that we chose, but I'm sure, at least on my side, it wasn't an easy decision. This was probably, in these matchups, my hardest decision.
Yeah, it was rough. Also, it only won. It's like Pokemon only won the Facebook poll. The Twitter poll was deadlocked at the end of the voting time. So the point went to nobody.
Yeah, I was wondering about that when I only saw the one vote. I figured that must have been what happened, that there must have been a tie. That is crazy. But imagine if it had gone one to each of the polls, it still would have been a tie.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done. Well, actually, I would have
do a sudden death or something.
I would have had to do a sudden death, but I also would have just asked the one person who didn't vote on this poll to vote on this poll.
That's probably the easiest way.
But, yeah, with Sinnoh League victors, like, that is just like a very, I don't know how to put it. Sinnoh League victors felt like an arc that had never happened in Pokemon before. They had never really done tournament quite like that, at that level, with that
scale.
kind of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ash went up against some really tough battles in that tournament. It's BS he didn't win.
That's how biased, you bitch ass.
I mean, like, what else is new there? Still, like, it was a really hype time for the Pokemon anime. I remember that coming out, airing when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I was excited for it.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just that whole season was just so much better than I thought Pokemon was gonna get, because I was so used to, when they were going through Indigo League and they were in Johto, where it was more just like the almost the monster of the week feeling of it, you know.
Uh-huh.
But Sinnoh League, I feel like really went into the okay, Pokemon has a league at the end. There's an end goal. There's a thing to go for. And not to say that there weren't things like that before, that they were striving for, but I feel like Sinnoh League was where they really just went for it and said, this is important, and this is going to be the focus. And it wasn't even just Ash. I mean, everybody in the show, they had rivals, and multiple of them. They had ambitions, they had drive, they had all of these things to go for. And in the Sinnoh League, it took it to the next level.
Yeah.
Is really what it did. It made Pokemon more than just like a goofy kids show. It made it so that there was motivation to get more invested in the battles.
Yeah, this felt like the highest stakes a Pokemon League could have gotten at the time. But let's talk about Megalobox's Megalonia. Basically, the entire first season of Megalobox. Megalobox was such a good show. It's just it's your standard Cinderella Rocky story, but it just felt so good watching that show. Every moment was hype. It was watching like Cowboy Bebop, but boxing. The build up from Joe deciding to box with no gear in a league where people can punch you with the force of One Punch Man on the regular, and he decided, I'ma just throw hands with a dude with shark arms. And he came out the victor in the very end. Just watching that was beautiful. I remember watching week to week on Megalobox, and I kept thinking, well, this is only going to be a one season show. It just because they're obviously already near the end here, and there's only one more match before the finals. They're not going to take a season break and then do the finals. That'd be ridiculous. And yeah, I'm really glad Megalobox did so well. I'm just glad Pokemon was able to beat it.
Megalobox, I didn't know how I was gonna feel about the show when it was first coming out, because, it was, I've seen, boxing anime before, Hajime no Ippo, and there's, the Ashida no Joe, like that's a prolific boxing manga that I've seen panels from, but this was just different. This wasn't just boxing. This had that extra flair to it. The whole premise that you talked about, Trey, of him being that underdog who says, I'm not going to take these enhancements, I'm just going to go in, kind of made it moving, where it was like, well, hey, that's kind of me. It became where it wasn't even just about the tournament anymore. It was that Joe is such a relatable character to anybody who feels like they're kind of going in that uphill battle against everything, that it was like, well, I want to root for this guy. Besides the fact that he's the protagonist, obviously most people want to see the protagonist win, but he had this drive that was like, well, I mean, if he can do this, I mean, why can't I do that? So it was really fun watching him struggle. And there was also the whole the intrigue to it later on, that because it was more than just I'm gonna have this fight of the week, because there was more to it. And that kind of made it interesting too, because it was like, well, now it's kind of getting real, because it's not just this hyper glamorous thing. It's like there's some seedy underdealings here, and that really made it also kind of an extra nice level of interesting to watch. Made it so it didn't get dry.
Yeah, it's like the story pulled you through not just the matches, but everything that goes behind the scenes, everything that that Megalonia was trying to build up. Andrew, you had something you wanted to add to all this?
No, not really. No, I think that Megalobox just was a really cool anime at the time, and it came out when there wasn't a whole lot of boxing anime going on. So it reinvented the wheel in certain ways. It's sci-fi, but still like an underdog story. There's a lot to love about it, and there's a reason why Megalobox is still relevant all these years later since the first season came out, and why it got a second season. People love that show. So I think that's a testament to Megalobox that it almost tied with Pokemon Sinnoh League Victors, which is, it's been around for a while. Everybody likes Sinnoh League Victors. It's a season that's still talked about up until this point. Yeah, the fact that Megalobox got that close to it, I think is, it's worthy of praise.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about the matches, but now we're looking towards the semifinals. So in match 1 of the semifinals, we've got Dragon Ball facing off against Naruto. It's father versus son here, folks. It's Kishimoto going up against, why am I blanking on his name? Toriyama. It's like Toriyama Sensei, Kishimoto Sensei, who's gonna come out? And then in the second half, in match 2, we've got Yu Yu Hakusho, the pinnacle of tournaments, going up against Pokemon, my heart and soul.
I mean, do you want my prediction on how this is gonna go?
Yeah, let's hear your
my thoughts, or what do you think? Do you want my take, or
both?
I definitely think we should do some predictions.
Like predictions and what you think is actually going to happen. Like, what's your bracket looking like, boys? And we're down to 4 tournaments. What's your predictions for these matches going forward? What are your thoughts?
So, let me just say this: Dragon Ball versus Naruto. That's a really tough battle, because at that point, both of them are juggernauts in the shonen and anime sphere all around. Like, they both have badass fights, pivotal character developments. They have all the requirements necessary to be a great tournament. I think at this point, it just comes down to preference. Which one do you like more? And the age group of the people who are voting on this, like most of us who are in this voting poll, we all lean more towards growing up with Naruto than we did with Dragon Ball. Some of us still grew up with Dragon Ball, so it's hard to say. I'm inclined to predict that Naruto's gonna win, actually.
I kind of have to agree with that. Sorry.
I think it has a really good chance. I think that Dragon Ball, yes, it's still childhood for some of us, but I think the majority of us discovered Naruto first. So that's just my guess. I'm pretty confident I know who I'm picking. I'm not gonna say, but I think it's pretty obvious who I'm picking.
I think that Dragon Ball and Naruto are going to be close. I don't think they're going to be as close as Megalobox and Pokemon, though. I think I have to agree that I think Naruto is probably going to win, especially because of, I guess, maybe the skewing of how I know the voting base is age-wise, like you said. But I still think Dragon Ball is going to get votes, but I think it's probably going to be something like 3-6, personally.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's kind of what I'm guessing, is a 3-6, some kind of margin like that. And I think they're both great contenders. They both have a lot to offer, especially for tournaments. And I've said, like I said earlier, I think Naruto contributed almost as much as Dragon Ball did for inspiration. So I feel like they're both legacy members in this genre. Even if Dragon Ball was inspiration for Naruto, it doesn't mean that the people can't pass the master. So I think that it's going to be close, but yeah, I think Naruto is probably going to take it.
Yeah, I have to agree that I think Naruto has the momentum to take this whole thing down. Like, on almost every poll that Naruto has been in, it is swept, for at least on the Twitter poll. Like, no one has gone to bat for anyone who's gone up against Naruto, and it's getting crazy. Like, nobody voted for My Hero on the Twitter poll when it was up against Naruto.
That is unfortunate. That's surprising. But
that honestly does surprise me too, because in the Twitter poll, I figured there would be enough people who liked My Hero enough to say, hey, I'm going to vote for this over Naruto, because of, being, again, like the age thing. I figured there might be enough younger people who maybe didn't grow up with the Chunin exams that said, "Hey, I love the My Hero Sports Festival." But maybe that's just a testament to see that tuning exams are just that good that it doesn't matter if the audience is younger. They will have watched it and they will have loved it.
Yeah. And also, just a heads up for this next bracket, there will be 3 social media points up for grabs: my Twitter poll, the standard Facebook voting, and also I will be putting out one more poll on Facebook on the final day of voting, and I will try and get the data from that so I can add that point to the tally. I tried to do it for this one, but we didn't have the archive turned on, so I couldn't see the results.
Oh, I gotcha.
But it wouldn't have changed anything. Probably would have just added one more point and skewed it even more for all the winners. But anyways, so let's look at the other side of this bracket. Yu Yu Hakusho going up against Pokemon. I'm just gonna say it now. I already voiced my grievances about this during the last roundup when I was looking at it ahead of time. I just know Yu Yu Hakusho is going to take out Pokemon with a giant spirit gun to the face.
I thought you were about to say that Yu Yu Hakusho wasn't gonna last. I was like,
Yeah, that's what I
think
I
you're
was
optimistic.
like,
I almost misspoke. I almost misspoke.
I think your passion's blinding you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
No,
But
I came back around. I also thought the same thing, and I was like, "Oh man, Trey's about to say something that I'm gonna have to
He's
drive
about
to his house
he's about to
for."
throw shade. Yeah.
'Cause I know where you live, Trey.
Yu Yu Hakusho, like, I mean, Drew literally said it earlier. It perfected the tournament arc. I don't foresee Pokemon having a chance. Then again,
Yeah.
I can't speak for other people who are going to be voting because I think it comes down to whether or not they've seen Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a key part of it. Is the
Have they
the
seen
amount
it?
of people who have seen it? Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Like-
the people who haven't are probably like, well, I mean, I'm sure it was good, but the people who have seen it, they're like, okay, I'm all in on this. So that's kind of the. I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
yeah, actually, this is
So-
a throwback to the previous round because the Twitter poll for that one was Yu Yu Hakusho going up against Black Clover, and Black Clover got 8 of the votes on the Twitter poll.
Oh my goodness.
8 out of 9 votes. So yeah,
I mean-
if I was adding all points, Yu Yu Hakusho would have still won. But oh my god, the people on Twitter, when they saw Black Clover, they were like, click!
I mean,
Oh my god.
Black Clover is popular and for good reason. The fights in it and it checks all the boxes. Black Clover is a very good show, and it is basically refined shonen. That is, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It takes all of the aspects of shonen and just refines it down. The problem,
I never
this
would
is
have
a personal
imagined
thing.
somebody saying that.
The problem is that I hate Asta. So but
Everyone
that's
hates
a personal
Asta.
thing. And
Okay.
I've heard he gets better, but anyway.
But yeah, I don't foresee Pokemon coming out of this one without a lot of scraping and just me selfishly promoting. It's like, please, please, please.
I mean, if you flock to the Pokemon Reddit and like beg people for help, they'll come.
Don't give them
How
ideas.
badly do you want to skew the votes? How much do you want to break this voting bracket? That's up to you, man. You're the one managing the brackets. I don't think you want to screw yourself here.
I keep.
Yeah, I have to say, I think it's. I mean, yeah, barring the idea of the lack of familiarity with Yu Yu Hakusho, I still think Yu Yu Hakusho is going to clinch this one. I think Pokemon may get a couple, but I think at best it's going to be 7-2.
Yeah.
Here, let me ask you guys this: out of Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Yu Yu Hakusho, if there was a 3-way, which one would you pick?
Oh my
See,
god.
That's the worst
That's it.
thing is I know
That's the
that I'm
hardest
pretty confident that Yu Yu Hakusho is going to win this the second bracket here on the semifinals, but
Yeah.
regardless of who it ends up against in the finals, it's going to be a tough one.
Oh god, it's gonna be horrible.
It's going to be
it's
so
gonna be really
tough.
hard.
I don't know if I could make a decision. I'm such a fence sitter when it comes to getting really nitty gritty with it like that. So it would take me a while to really think about it.
Just close your eyes.
Just throw a
Close your
dart.
eyes and spin it in a circle, and then just point. You know?
Yeah, I'm just gonna point and shoot a spirit gun at the one that I want. Wait, is that too
Look,
much? Is that pointing to which one I'm gonna vote to? Too much?
If you walk into a door, that means that you vote for Yu Hakusho. If you trip and eat shit on the floor, you pick Naruto.
Yeah, this is gonna be insane.
I'm excited for this.
I am too. I am very excited for this. Tournament Arc Madness, folks. Please, you can vote online. Check my Twitter. Check our Facebook, and use the hashtag Tournament Arc Madness to keep up with all the craziness and tell us who you think is going to win. Remember, anyone who's in our Discord is allowed to vote. I think that's about it. Any last minute thoughts before we wrap up, boys?
I can't believe that Naruto beat My Hero Academia by such a landslide. I think it's really funny now that I look at it. I'm not making fun of My Hero Academia. Like, I actually thought I'd be really close, but you know, I haven't watched My Hero Academia ever since second season, so I guess the best I can say is suck it.
Hey, it got pretty good. That's all I gotta say. I mean, past the tournament.
Naruto just, you know, it's eternally popular. I believe that Naruto is going to become like Dragon Ball Z in levels of just like
Prestige.
popularity. Yeah, like prestige, you know, is evergreen. It's going to become evergreen,
that's a good word.
like DBZ, where Naruto's been over for like over half a decade now.
What are you talking about? Boruto's still going on right now.
Who?
So Naruto's been over for half a decade now, and it's not going anywhere, man. Like, it's just not disappearing anytime soon. I think it's going to be around just as long.
I mean, Trey bringing that up is a good point, that Dragon Ball, you know, came back with Dragon Ball Super. Naruto came back with Boruto. It is so popular and so everlasting that it almost feels like a waste not to continue making content on it. Now, do I think that's a good mentality? Beating a dead horse? No. That's debatable. I mean, there's good content from both, but I feel like, you know, milking it too much, I mean, it's gonna go dry. You gotta be careful with how much you do. So, but that's a whole other topic. But I think that is a good point, that Naruto is on that level. So I think that's what makes the first bracket for the semifinals, I think, is going to be such a contention. Even though I've already voiced what my prediction is, I think it's still going to be so close, and it's going to be such a heated race that I'm excited to see that. Second bracket, unfortunately, I feel like I'm either going to be entirely unsurprised or entirely confused when I see the results.
Yeah, it's
either par for the course or it's, oh my god, who fixed the votes?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I'm gonna say, if it's against how I think, I'm gonna look at Trey and be like, "What'd you do?"
It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Do this?
I did nothing wrong. I just counted the votes. I swear. All right.
They all say.
All right, from Evan 7, I'm Trey. I was joined by Andrew.
Hey, yo.
Time for the semifinals. Begin!
Hajime yo.
Hadouken!